Very, very warm because it's cold outside. I be turning on these football games, man. These cats stay out here with no sleeves on. I am not impressed. Shout out to all the free thinkers who wear sleeves because they want to stay warm.
You weren't impressed by Quentin Nelson, Big Q, showing you that in some parts of this country, weather is character building?
No, I was impressed, though, that time Bud Grant was out there with no sleeves on because that man's about 137 years old.
Yeah, that's some circulatory concerns that he is surmounting.
Can't make a room too cold for a man that age.
First name today, Alshon Jeffery. With 2 minutes left, Bo down by 6. Big bleep Nick and the Eagles were driving into Saints territory when this happened.
Oh, Eagles, last year's Super Bowl champions. This year, back to being the Eagles. It was real close, too.
Into Lattimore's hands, under 2 minutes. This was the game. He's right there, oblonging around tortuously. After the game, notably, Alshon Jeffery says, quote, "I'll take that loss. It's on me," as he is embraced in the moment by Doug Peterson and his teammates. But Bo, is Alshon Jeffery right about taking all that blame?
I mean, it isn't not on him, right? Like, he was out there. The ball hit him in the hands. It was then intercepted. I mean, nothing is all on one person ever in one of these games. It could have stand to have a quarterback who played better after the first couple of drives than Nick Foles did in that.
I agree.
But, man, the greatest display of toughness I've ever seen with my own 2 eyes is the time that my mama cooked Christmas dinner with 2 broken ribs that were broken 2 days before Christmas. It is one of the most amazing things I have ever seen. That dude was out there playing football with broken ribs. I'm only going so hard on you under those circumstances.
Lane Johnson came out after the game and said, yes, the ribs were broken, and MRI apparently has officially validated this. And this is Alshon Jeffery's MO. Last season when they won the Super Bowl and he was also a key cog in that offense, he played every game with a torn rotator cuff in that shoulder. Like, football players are just wired differently, right?
I ain't showing up here with broken ribs.
No.
Like, think about all the activities in your life. Are you going to the movies with a broken rib? Every moment is spent hoping, man, I hope I don't sneeze.
No.
Like, that's what all of this is. So, no, I can't put that all on him. What I think happened in part here, one, which is going to be a recurring theme in these games. The Eagles had to play a game last week. The Saints did not. The Eagles lost Brandon Brooks. We saw lose Sheldon Rankins. Like, they had these guys dropping.
Jason Peters.
Right, these guys dropping early. It wasn't that different than that Chiefs-Colts game where the Chiefs blew that 28-point lead a couple years ago because they just dropping dudes. No, this isn't anything that I'm going to point at one person and say it's your fault.
Yeah, and Big Bleep Nick could have played better, should have played better. I agree with all of that. And the frustration for me is I'm fascinated by the conversation of, is choking real? We think yes. Is clutch real? This is where it's an experiment where football reveals itself to be a terrible laboratory to discover, can you isolate a variable like that? Because Alshon Jeffery, we were left with a very flaccid ending, an unsatisfying ending, because we didn't get the game-winning drive that we had dreamed of.
Oh, we got a great ending, though. I mean, it just wasn't the magical ending that you guys are always out here talking about, Nick Foles. I mean, come on now. That end, when we got to it, that interception, that's a big play. That is a climactic moment. And then it came back. But look, with Nick Foles, he is a very, very, very good backup quarterback. He might be the best backup quarterback that you can have. And you know what he looked like there by the end of that? He looked like a backup quarterback. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I would point to the fact that they were out there with a backup quarterback is having more to do with them not winning that game than anything to do with the guy trying to make catches with a broken rib. But can you imagine going like this, knowing that your ribs are broken?
I can't imagine picking up a PlayStation controller with my ribs being like that.
Yikes. Next name's the Patriots. Patriots dropped 41 on the Chargers yesterday after the game. Tom Brady, a little in his feelings.
It'll be a good game. They're a good team, and we played them earlier this year. I know, everyone thinks we suck and, can't win any games. So we'll see. It'll be fun.
Dude, there is nothing that a Goliath loves more than to be underestimated so they can then complain about being underestimated. Like, I don't know if we truly gave the Patriots all the credit in the world because, yes, they're like 20-3 at home. They haven't lost in a billion years in the divisional round. All of that's true. But they love this. They may object to it superficially, but a tech billionaire loves to consider himself an underdog.
Yes.
This country loves to consider itself an underdog. And so Tom Brady, Tom bleepin' Brady, gets to be, you know what, you guys didn't respect me enough.
Well, there's nothing noble about winning if there are no odds stacked against you, right? There's nothing noble about winning with all the advantages behind you. Now, the Patriots don't have any advantages in that way to support them, but it's been a long time since anybody really, well, not that long. They came back from 28-3.
Yep.
Now then, yeah, I thought you stunk. Yeah, then I thought you weren't going to score any points. On this one, hey, man, the Chargers were a better team this season. There was reason to believe the Chargers would win this game. There was no reason to believe that the Patriots would handle them in the way that they did. And again, part of that is one of those teams played last week and traveled, and this one didn't. Yep. The other is, hey, man, Belichick is really good at this.
So good. And the Chargers last week did the genius thing. We're going to play 7 DBs. We're going to stop Lamar Jackson and his gimmicky Ravens offense. And they came back this week against the Patriots, a totally different team, and did the same thing.
It would make them think that
And that's very inexplicable, because what Bill Belichick and Tom Brady did was, we're going to be a power running team. Sony Michel, you're going to run the ball 24 times. We're going to do these screen passes, the dump offs to James White and Julian Edelman. And therefore, when Tom Brady wants to pick his spots, you'll be quite vulnerable deep.
Yeah, I think one of the great misunderstandings that you can often have about the Patriots because of Brady and the fact that they spread this out is that they won't run it down your throat if it comes down to it. And that has been a hallmark throughout this time. If they believe that where they have the advantages to run the ball, they didn't take a first-round running back to not give them the rock. And they gave it to them, and they just ran all over San Diego.
Yes, and Rob Gronkowski, we have been wondering, where is Gronk? And Gronk was once again, offensively, in terms of the statistics, invisible. But as a blocker, in pursuit of that power running game, he had maybe his best game in that role. And so the Patriots, are they done? No. But are they a team that loves, that you think they might be done, even if you don't? Yes.
No, everybody loves to be able to say nobody thought that you could win this game. Man, it ain't been a game that they have played in 18 years that nobody thought they could win.
No. Last name, Kyler Murray. Yesterday, Mike Leslie of WFAA reported that Murray told the Oakland A's that if they offer him $15 million, he'll choose baseball over football. If true, Bo, what's your reaction to that?
That he better be ready just in case they do it, right? Because you don't throw a number out there under that circumstance unless that is the thing that you really don't. Clearer than ever. He just really wants to play football, and playing in the NFL is more feasible now than it had ever been before. So you go in there, well, tell them, give me $15 million and I'll come. What do you do if they say okay? Yeah, that decision is harder than I think that anybody would think that it would be.
Yes, and the institution of Major League Baseball feels like a person being broken up with. They are desperate to keep this relationship, Kyler Murray and baseball, together. They are offering, we'll go to counseling, I'll learn how to cook, I'll do everything you want. $15 million, I'm about it. Why? Because baseball has an inferiority complex about losing better athletes to other sports, and for some reason, they think that this dude can be worth blowing up the mold they have for all the other players in their world.
Well, this is, I think, where it dovetails into the complementary interests of Kyler Murray and Scott Boras. Because think about this. If you represent Scott Boras, you got to be a little salty about the way this is going. You don't represent football players. You represent baseball players. But if you're Scott Boras, one thing you do not like is the structure of the draft as it stands right now. You want to be able to get your money for your clients outside of the slotting of the draft. The draft used to be set up, take these dudes wherever you wanted, pay them whatever you wanted. And that worked well to have a guy like Kyler Murray. You could take him in the third round, pay him like a first round pick, and you've mitigated the risk that came from the fact that you might not sign him. But with baseball, tell me this, man. No one's sure that he's even going to make it to the major leagues. Like, everybody keeps telling us that, you got to go down there, you got to work on this,
ride the bus.
It's not likely that he's going to be a superstar once he makes it to the big league. So if you give him this $15 million, what happens when he gets there?
No, this feels like baseball responding to a perceived humiliation because this is a big story. I mean, they're sending, according to John Morosi at Fox, marketing executives to these meetings with Kyler Murray, trying to convince him, no, you can have everything you dream of, that A-list status with us. But yeah, you still got to ride the bus.
The second best baseball player of my lifetime right now plays in the second largest market in America, and nobody cares. Coming up next, T.O. calls out Jason Garrett.
Whoop, whoop. High Noon is brought to you by Domino's. Order online and track your order. High Noon is coming to you from the Seaport District at Pier 17. Brought to you by Chase.
Hey, man, we weren't watching that Adam Gase press conference. We were watching it, but we couldn't hear it. And, it didn't look good.
No, because he's not very good at looking, around, like his eyes.
Yeah, here's the first question for the media. Why are you looking at me like that? That would have been my question.
This is going to go very well.
Quit looking at me like that. Quote, hey, at Real Jerry Jones, about time for a culture change, don't you think? Tweeted Terrell Owens after the Cowboys lost to the Rams. Pablo, should we really put this one on Jason Garrett?
Well, it's funny because we started with the Cowboys being underachievers and overachievers and underachievers, and now we're back, and the cycle will begin anew next year. But who do you blame, Bo, when apparently your defense is tipping off how they're going to attack the opponent? Because that's what the Rams were saying after the game, was that we knew what was coming, and that Cowboys defense didn't seem to be anywhere close to its normal self, in part because of an intelligence breach, it seems.
No, this happens in the league, though. Like Jeff Schwartz mentioned this on Twitter. Line coaches figure out these little tells all the time with the other line. It's just not that often that it gets to the media. Now, I do not think that this was all on Jason Garrett. Like, I didn't find myself watching that game being like, Jason Garrett's the reason they're losing. But Jason Garrett didn't do anything to make me think they should have been winning, right? In the course of this, I didn't have any of that from watching it. Let's take a moment to appreciate the fact that Jason Garrett's had this job for so long that T.O. was in the Hall of Fame and still complaining about how the dude should be fired.
That's right.
It's not like T.O. retired after he left the Cowboys. Like, whatever your conclusions are that you have drawn about Jason Garrett, they are drawn. No win is going to fix this. What could come out of this game if the Cowboys had won was us looking at Sean McVay like, I thought you was a genius. That was all we were going to get in terms of changing coaching perception.
Right. The bad news for the Cowboys is that they just went out with a real whimper. They got run upon more than they ever had this season. They had one 100-yard rusher run that much on them. There were two in this same game. It was the most the Cowboys as a franchise have been run upon, but now we have a matchup that I think we do enjoy. We have Marcus Peters against anybody else, but specifically Sean Payton, if we have this video.
Yes.
Tell Sean Payton keep talking that shit. We gonna see him soon. You feel me?
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Because I like what he was saying on the sidelines too. So tell him keep talking that shit. And I hope to see him soon. You feel me? And then we gonna have a good little, nice little bowl of gumbo together.
He must know that's terrifying.
He must know that when you smile and then erase the smile instantaneously, you kind of unsettle the people around you.
By the way, before we forget, shout out to C.J. Anderson, because C.J. Anderson had quite a performance in that game, which allows us all to reminisce on something we all love, chubby running backs.
Absolutely.
He was out there looking like Ironhead Anderson.
He was cut 3 times last year. 3 times.
C.J. Duckett, that was another one.
Ooh, thick. Next quote. By far the best pass rushers, the best 4 guys in this league. We've got Justin Houston, D. Ford, defensive tackle Alan Bailey, and me. Said Chiefs defensive end Chris Jones after KC shut down the Colts. And Bo, if this team can play defense like this, are they the Super Bowl favorite?
Duh. I mean, so you're asking me if the best offense in the league can have a defense that looks like the best defense in the league, are they the Super Bowl favorite? Okay. Are they going to play like that again? No. I feel like we got enough data points to indicate we saw the best that they had to offer right there. That's no shade to them because they looked really, really good. And I think the point that Ford makes about their pass rush is correct. They've got guys who can bring it. So, yeah, if they look like this, nobody's going to beat them. That ain't the boldest statement in the world.
Yeah, the key to this defense, though, is for the offense to get ahead because the defense has a vulnerability. They, too, can be run upon. But if Pat Mahomes is going to do what he did in this game, which is to say basically be up by 2 scores at any given moment, starting with 5 minutes into the game, all they got to do is pass rush. And those guys really good, especially against an offensive line that we've all said is really impressive.
Now, the one thing we have to say, though, about that defense, we are talking about a defense that we would generally consider to be a vulnerable one. Against Belichick and Josh McDaniels and Tom Brady and those dudes, it's going to be a matter of whether they can cook something up. Because we talked about the Patriots earlier, and maybe we underestimated them having that home game in the playoffs. But I don't feel like the road in this round has been especially kind to them.
Yeah, especially when, they're going to be running a lot, the Patriots are.
Quote, if it's hard now, what do you think it's going to be like when we're trying to get it to the finals? Said Kyrie Irving after Boston lost to the Magic Saturday night. Ugh. Let's listen to Kyrie's message to the young folks.
We come into this season expectations, and it's real. Everyone, from the coaching staff to the players, it's very much real every single day. So that's new. It's tough. It's hard. So I think that what we're facing now is nothing compared to being on that stage trying to get a gold trophy. If it's hard now, what do you think it's going to be like when we're trying to get to the finals?
Pablo, how should the young Celtics feel about hearing this?
Kyrie Irving spoke for about 7 minutes, had paragraphs of "this is what it's like, get ready," and it reminds me that we become our elders. At some point, LeBron James said something along these lines to him that I'm sure he bristled at. But now here he is at age 26 being the old head because guess what, Kyrie? This is what you signed up for. All of the chaos of a bunch of egos whereupon you are the alpha male.
Yeah, now one thing to be fair to Kyrie as it relates to the LeBron stuff is he always seems to have said that he appreciated this kind of stuff, right? Like he appreciated the real life insight and the ability to see the professionalism
he might be right, by
that
the
he
way,
needed
yes.
to see. Like he believed all of those things about LeBron. What he didn't like was LeBron being his de facto daddy. That is what he bristled at. The thing is, the age gap between LeBron and Kyrie is bigger than the age gap between Kyrie and some of these younger dudes on the team. Are they looking at him as champion guy? Are they looking at him as guy who has won before? Or are they looking at him as guy who won with LeBron?
Or are they looking at him as guy who believes the earth is flat? Like,
yeah.
I do wonder if I'm getting paragraphs of wisdom from my veteran teammate, and he's also saying stuff that is self-evidently ridiculous. Maybe that's part of the issue with communication.
No, I mean, but look, this is the place, like, this is where I would assume that he knows something. But you're right. Kyrie wanted to be the grown-up on the team. Now he gets to be the grown-up on the team. Coming up next, should the Miami Dolphins tank for Tua? Alliteration. Dog, they said Arrowhead, the National Weather Service, Schefter said this, temperatures could be from 10 degrees to well below zero. You know what's well below zero to your boy? 1 degree. That's well below zero.
40 degrees is well below zero to you.
That's, off of this, look at that. You think, what, that is cold.
Character building. Today's number, 2020. Because that's the year the Dolphins are reportedly circling for their rebuilding plan. According to Schefter, they're targeting Alabama's Tua Tagovailoa and Oregon's Justin Herbert in the 2020 draft. Well, how should new coach Brian Flores feel about that report?
I knew it was a setup. That's how he should have felt about that. He was like, you know, when they called me, I had a feeling there was something about that wasn't quite right. Like, I once did an interview with an athletic director at an HBCU, and he said when they call him about players, he said the player got a discipline problem or academic problem, but it's always a problem. They don't call him about the good
Why
stuff.
else would you get him?
That's kind of the thing about being like the black dude trying to get a head coaching job in the NFL. They're giving you a job where it appears that maybe, just maybe, they're trying to lose off the rip. It's a setup.
No, there is great logic in what the Dolphins are aspiring to do. Yes, you want a rookie quarterback on that cost-controlled contract. That is how the Chiefs are winning, the Rams are winning. All that's true. But you don't want to be the head coach of a tank job because you wear that record around even if everybody knows the context.
Yes.
It will be held against you forever.
Well, like as I look at this in their plan, here's what I don't understand. Why'd you fire Gase? Like, if this is what you were going to do, did you find it to be too disrespectful to ask Adam Gase to stick around for all this losing? If your plan was to take this out, keep the last guy and take it out, or do you think he gonna mess around and win some games? Because here's what I want to know with the Dolphins also. Are they keeping Tannehill or not? Because if they keep Tannehill, you're not going to get the #1 pick. He's too good for you to tank it out. You win 6.
Right. If Ryan Tannehill does put you on that treadmill of mediocrity where you're not going to be where you are, but you're not going to be good enough to feel good about yourself.
Right.
And therefore, Brian Flores is going to be walking around like Hugh Jackson was walking around, right?
Where's the question?
Tanking all these L's.
Where's the question? What quarterback do you get to tank? Because you need a quarterback that's not going to win the games, but you can't throw somebody out there that everybody knows is not going to win the games. Like, you can't go out there with Peterman as your week 1 starter, for example. Boy, that would be fascinating.
He got a future contract with the Raiders.
Right.
Otherwise, he's the answer.
No, but what are you going to do? Like, how, if this is their plan, how do you do it in a way that doesn't tell everybody in a city that will ignore you quickly that that's exactly what you're doing?
You pray for injury?
Don't do that. In closing, on Friday, Snoop Dogg was in Oakland at a concert commemorating the 25th anniversary of his debut album, Doggy Style. The next night, he was in the Staples Center doing color for the LA Kings.
It's your boy Kopitar. Here we go, Kopitar. Push it, give it to him. Back to the middle, I
think the middle's a good place to
you got to, come on, nephew. Somebody got to be willing to take a shot. It can't be all passes. Somebody got to want that money. Who wants the money? Who wants the money?
He is into this.
Hands up. Oh, watch out. Oh, he stole on him. He fired on Cuz. Hold on now. Get it cracking then. Let's go. Snoop Dogg in the house. Let me see something. Drop the sticks, man. Let's get cracking, man, to the middle of the ring. Let's go. Number 3 wanted. I like that. Who is number 3 for us?
Dion for enough.
Dion, go get cracking, Dion. Yeah, go get him, Dion.
White
Get him,
Dion.
Dion.
That dude on the right.
Move, Dion. Get out the way.
It always works that way. There's always one that's been waiting for that. This is amazing. By the way, don't forget, the Gangsters sold more LA Kings gear than anybody else did, right? NWA helped sell more. I bet they sold more LA Kings gear. Not the Snoop was in NWA, but they sold more LA Kings gear than Wayne Gretzky did.
Dude, I said on the show recently, there is no announcer I'd prefer over a Spanish language announcer. I'd like to revise my argument. Snoop Dogg is number 1 and everybody else also receiving votes.
I feel like they need to carry this on. They can find a way. I don't know if you remember this. Maybe you was too young, but like hockey jerseys used to actually be in fashion. That also happened to be back when I knew what was going on
in hockey.
Like maybe this is just the plan they need. Maybe they can somehow bring it back.
I feel like Major League Baseball, take your marketing executives away from Kyler Murray and towards this gentleman.
That's right.
In closing, I'd like to listen to Blake Griffin tell us exactly how he feels about Clippers owner Steve Ballmer right after attempting to do the exact opposite. Let's watch. Pre-game, Blake Griffin has a routine. There is his former employer.
Who is he, Flojo?
Dude, he ran out of there as much as Steve Ballmer didn't want him to. He can't be rich enough to stop a man from doing his routine. And after the game,
I don't change that for anybody. You know, to tweet out something like that, like what you did, I thought was kind of bull.
Would you shake his hand if it wasn't prior to your warm-up?
I'm honestly not here to answer hypothetical questions, to be honest.
He had a whole monologue, and then he was like, you know what, I actually do hate this man too much.
If your boss comes and says, we're transferring you from the LA office to the Detroit office, and what you really want to be is a stand-up comedian, you'd be furious
legal.
too.
I want legal.
Highly questionable coming up next.